Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Creative Tavern. My name is Christopher Lee. I am a concept artist. Been in the industry for about 10 years with companies such as Walt Disney Imagineering and Universal Studios Creative. And today I'm here with my buddy Michael Welker. Say hello, Michael.
Hello, everybody. My name is Michael O. Welker. I'm a software developer, writer, and semi-retired creative producer from the theme park industry, which is where I got to meet Chris, and work on some really cool theme park projects together. But recently, Chris and I found ourselves in between big projects and said, "Hey, why don't we do something, the two of us? Let's put our heads together and do a creative project, you and I." Took us a while to figure out what that was, and we got a lot of ideas along the way, which
Mhm.
may be
We
in the
will
future.
revisit
So
it.
exactly.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, but for now, we settled on, hey, let's make a video game. Let's learn how to make a video game because neither of us have ever done that before.
Mm.
And so that's what we're doing. We're right in the middle of making this rail shooter video game, which you're going to see in a couple minutes here. Um, but along the way, we decided, hey, when we were working on those big projects, we had like all these creative people around us. Now it's just the two of us. We kind
Mm-hmm.
of wanted a way to re-engage with the creative community, and also we wanted to, we're already making this game, we want to give other people a window into our creative process. So we started live streaming our game development, and we created the Creative Tavern. And to tell you more about that, I'm going to hand it back to Chris.
Thank you, Michael. And yeah, the Creative Tavern was created for for us, for all the creative people out there. It's not just about art, it's also about singing, it's also about, dancing, it's about storytelling, it's about graphic design, it's about video games, every little thing. Anything that encompasses creativity, we all belong here. Hence, it's the Creative Tavern, not the Drawing Tavern, right? And a special shout out, just want to say hello to Luna, as well as Captain Blue Blue, Lissy, Riley Star. Thank you guys so much for being here. And one of the reasons why I kind of want to create, or we wanted to create this platform, was to meet people that is going on to the same journey as us. Because as designers, it's hard creating stuff. Sometimes we hit roadblocks, and as Michael, as a writer, there's something called a what is it? Writer's block,
Writer's
right?
block.
Yeah, writer's block. And as an artist, we sometimes we have our artist block, I guess. I don't know what the term for that is. And so this is just a place where we could share each other's art, and just edify each one another, and just go along the journey. Just show We will show you what you're doing, or we will show you what we're doing, and hopefully you'll share with us what you're doing as well, and we could just help each other along the way. And with that said, though, every Sunday we take a look at art submissions, writing, as well as music. Anything that is creative, feel free to join our Discord and post your amazing work in there. And Michael, did I miss anything at all?
No, I don't think so. Very well
Okay,
said.
sweet. One thing I want to add to you is, like, yes, Michael and I, we used to work for big companies. We had to listen to a lot of people, so we don't get to do something that is ours. Now that we get to do something that is just us two, we realize that yes, we can make our own choices, we can make our own decisions, but there's only the two of us. So it's just like, it's like the pros and cons. In a big company, you have so many people that you can work with, and you could divvy up the tasks to various places and people. And but you're very constrained to that one vision, that one idea that someone else has. But for me and Michael, we get to create our own amazing world, amazing environments, and characters and whatnot. But who's gonna have to design them? Oh shit, me and him. Yeah, and so that there's only two people left, or two people on this team. But hopefully later on, if we make it big, have a Kickstarter, obtain the funding, we're hoping to hire get your guys' help, compensate you guys for your amazing talents, such as Luna and Captain Blue Blue. And I know Riley is also very, very talented artist. So being able to help one another out, I think it's very, very, very important. So yeah, I just wanted to say that there's ups and downs with each scenarios. Grass is always greener on the other side, basically. And wherever you are, just do your best and just optimize the your situation is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So yes, Sunday is my days. However, today is Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, right? Yes, today is Wednesday. So
Hope
it's
so.
Michael's turn to share all the progress that he has made throughout the week. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Michael.
Alrighty, here we
Yeah.
go. So, um, my usual disclaimers. uh, the, the the creative person's curse. Like, it's not. I'm gonna show you some stuff, but it's all shit. Like, it's terrible. Um, that's how I feel. Obviously, I feel like I've not accomplished as much as I had hoped for. Um, but Scene 3 is done. It's as done as it can be given our current time frame. I can't keep working on it. Um, that said, I think I've made considerable improvements to the gameplay.
Mm.
There's still a lot of things that are really rough and need fine tuning and adjustment, and things that I'm like really unhappy with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm getting closer with a couple of the components where I feel like, ooh, this actually feels pretty good. This feels like a
Nice.
game.
Nice.
Um, and I've added some things that I had kind of like mentioned or teased last time. However, I did basically nothing with the environment. So the environmental design is basically at zero. And scene 3 is, which we'll see in a second, is the scene where we have the giant asteroid that we fly in close to, and you're kind of like flying through these trenches and stuff. So thankfully, I have Chris's beautiful 3D model of that asteroid, and thank goodness you had made that fly through with the like flight path,
Mm.
because I didn't have to think creatively. I just had to like program in the flight path to follow that. So I just followed your flight path exactly.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Nice.
yeah, and we don't have to settle with that, but given the time constraints, it was way easier to just like, I'm just going to use this. We can adjust it if we need to. Maybe we can adjust things later if necessary. But yeah, that's what I went with. Um, Originally, my plan was I was really hoping to have all of scene 2 and all of scene 3 done by this week, but there's just no way. Even
Mm.
considering like what I got done this week, I put in a lot of hours, had to drop some other things, which by the way, I'm really sorry there's no tavern trivia tonight. I
Mm.
could not get to it. Um,
Understandable. Understandable.
yeah. I mean, I was still making adjustments to this thing just like an hour or two before we went live on stream. Which usually isn't the case. Usually about the day before, I'm like, okay, that's good enough for now. I'm gonna
Hmm.
park it here until the stream, and then we'll do stuff. But this time it's like there just wasn't enough time. So anyway,
Mm.
no more hemming and hawing. What I'm going to show you now is scene 3.
Yeah.
I'm just going to play it for you, and then after that, we'll kind of go through it a couple different times or a couple different ways, and I'll kind of explain the different things that are going on. One of the first things that you're going to notice even before I hit play is I've brought in
Oh,
Chris's
man.
beautiful new HUD
Oh, man.
display. That took like a day and a half to 2 days just to get all of that put into the game, and it's mostly functioning. There's some things you're not going to see, like when the shield depletes completely, we don't switch to the red stuff. There's no like shield recharge animation yet. I just didn't have time.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, basically, I have everything loaded in, like everything is imported. It's just some of the coding functionality isn't there for some of the newer stuff. The
Yeah.
stuff that already existed is there, so you'll see the shield health bar will deplete appropriately and recharge.
Oh, nice.
And we've got the new targeting reticles, and the little
That
hit indicators will appear.
that looks so good. I like that. I like that look so much. I'm not like trying to kiss my own ass or anything, but I
Man, whoever designed this
yeah,
crosshair is a genius. Like, this
yeah,
is
I'm like
amazing.
you. Yeah, but it looks appropriate. Like it looks good. I like
Yeah.
how it feels. Yeah.
Yep, completely agree. And
Yeah.
one of the just since we're talking about that, one of the things that you'll notice, I adjusted it a little bit because when you had originally created it, it looked like this,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and then you had added a couple of extra elements in order to create that sort of like the the near reticle and the far reticle that we needed to create that sort of
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
orientation for the player to see the vector of their firing.
Yeah.
I played around with it a bunch. And it was kind of like a happy accident between me trying to fix one problem and it actually killed two birds with one stone inadvertently. One of the things that was kind of frustrating once I got into this level, I realized that the player's ability to move the targeting reticle around the screen was too
Yeah.
limited, and I wanted
Sure.
to expand it,
Right.
but it was really difficult to figure out how to do that without like pivoting the ship. And what I ended up doing is when the ship moves to the left or to the right, it actually will yaw to the left or to the right,
Oh.
which has the effect of the targeting vector is in most cases still centralized to the camera, which basically means like from your perspective. Actually, I don't know if this is going to read at all. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Does this get blurry? So like I've got this Apple Pencil here, right? So like uh, if you're like right in the middle of the screen, you're like it just looks like a point, and you can
Mhm.
see like when it goes this
Mhm.
way.
Mhm.
But if the ship is like down here and firing this way, like that, it that's why you needed the multiple reticles to be able to
Sure.
see like, oh, I can connect the dots there and see like that's where it's
Yeah.
going to be shooting.
Right.
But now what it basically does is no matter where the ship is, it's kind of like aiming like this, where it's still like coming away from the center of the camera. Really
Right.
difficult to explain like uh, without like having a nice diagram, but you'll kind of see what's happening in the game. But anyway, what that ended up achieving is two things. The player can now aim almost the entire map of the screen, whereas before it was kind of like this little window inside where the ship
Mhm.
could fly around the whole screen, but you could only shoot in the middle. Now
Mhm.
you can
Mhm.
shoot all the way to the edges.
Nice.
And the ship will turn to look in those directions a little bit in a way that I think doesn't look too janky. Uh, and because of that, we didn't need the near and far reticles anymore. So I brought them back to just one,
Oh,
and I
nice.
used the original one that you had created, which is the one that you're seeing on screen right now.
Oh, okay, okay.
So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and hit play. We'll see my completed rough draft for the Scene 3 prototype.
Here we go. Here we go, guys. We're gonna see it first ever. Oh, sweet. Here's the prototype. Oh, nice. Oh, we just got raided. Thank you so much, Ariana, for the raid.
Woo!
Hello.
Welcome,
We're
Raiders.
welcome, welcome. We're actually looking at the prototype right now of our game. Michael just Oh, that looks so cool. Oh, that is pretty cool. Oh, damn. Good job, Michael. Oh, that is so cool. Ooh, that looks great.
Yeah. One thing to note, you will occasionally see drones flying into like behind walls and stuff. That's a
Yeah.
glitch that I haven't fixed.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So one thing you're seeing here is this drone is really tough.
Right.
He is what I'm calling a commander drone. So he's a different color, he's got a
Mm-hmm.
lot more health, and he's got a different behavior pattern.
Oh.
Which one of the
Oh,
things, so the targeting reticle that appears on the screen, well, I'll have to explain it later because you have a limited amount of time to kill him before he bugs out.
disappears. Yeah.
But I'll explain a little bit more about that later. But for now, we'll kind of just I'll keep showing you. Oh, one other thing here. You're supposed to do a loop-de-loop there based on your
Yeah.
original flight path, Chris, but I just can't do that in
Sure, sure, that's fine.
with our thing. So I kind of did a little cheat where you kind of like go up in the air.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so there's a drone kind of like behind the wall over there. I need to fix that, but that's a really tricky problem to fix. But what's happening with the targets is they appear so they'll fly in when that enemy is about to shoot at you. And then
Right.
if it's flashing red, that means that they're in attack mode. They're shooting you right now.
Mm-hmm.
So you have
Mm-hmm.
like this limited amount of time to hit them. And when you do, the targeting reticle goes away because they kind of get staggered and then they need to reset to attack you again.
Right.
So as long as I'm shooting them all and hitting them, those targets will go away. But then as soon as they're about to shoot me, that's when those targeting reticles will appear on screen again.
Right.
And you'll notice we have our updated in-game HUD, so all of the enemies have their that health display. It says the same thing, the same like ID for all of them because I haven't coded that to code
Yeah, yeah,
appropriately
yeah.
for missile drones and stuff yet. But you can at least see that that's kind of like what it looks like. Bam. So those
Nice.
guys are all gone. Oh yeah, and so you can see now I can basically get this targeting reticle
Ooh,
into like
yeah,
all parts of the
everywhere.
screen. All right, so here's another one of those commander drones. So
Get
for
him.
him, you have to shoot him quite a bit to get him to stagger. Uh, and then he's also doing like evading. So it takes a little bit longer, like more shots in order to get that targeting reticle to
Mhm.
disappear. So like if I
Mhm.
start
Mhm.
shooting him now, yep, he's gonna start shooting me. Let's see if I can kill him before he bugs out. Yep, got him. And then we got these guys to shoot. Oh, another thing too that you're probably noticing by now is some parts of this map are really, really dark.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, we're gonna have to light it.
yes, I
Yeah.
I had a total of like maybe 15 minutes to play with lighting.
Mhm.
Or you're
Mhm.
gonna see some weird bugs here with these drones are just gonna kill themselves.
Nice.
Um,
Ah,
yeah. So, and I don't know
kamikaze.
why that happens right there. Another bug that I'm gonna have to fix later. But
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah. We also have our like missile drones. It's got a lot more health than the other regular drones that are going to be in here. But yeah, so the lighting is definitely something we're going to need to work with. I just didn't have time to mess with it too much, so
Yeah,
right now
yeah.
it doesn't look great.
I'll take care of the lighting. You work on the gameplay.
Awesome,
Yeah.
thanks. Another thing you may notice too is like if you look at my targeting cursor right now, it doesn't
Uh-huh.
have those little four-cornered spikes, but as soon as I hit an enemy, they appear to let me know that
Yeah.
right, there's a hit indicator there. It's a little rough right now. I'd kind of like it to maybe
Smoother.
fade out and
Yeah.
have a little bit more polish. But
Right.
at least right now, it's the basic code is there to let you know, like, hey, yep, hit
Mhm.
you are hitting the enemy. So we're gonna give you a little bit of extra feedback here.
Nice. That I think that works really well. We
And
did not steal that idea from anywhere. This is all
nope,
original.
that did not
All
come
original, baby.
directly from Overwatch at all. Um, well, yeah, here's a couple of the lights that I put in the
Oh,
game.
nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's sort of like a little spotlight thing. But and what you may have noticed right there's one of the lights died. For
Right.
some
I saw
reason,
that.
they're like some of these lights just decide to like pop in and pop out at times, and I don't really know why. Um, More bugs.
Mm.
The joys of programming video games.
Mm, 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 mm.
So much unexpected behavior. And yeah, so you're gonna see like a lot of the environment is just I mean it's just the asteroid. It doesn't have any of the like
Architecture.
environmental
Yeah.
elements.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
unfortunately,
No worries. No
um,
worries.
but that leaves you carte blanche, Chris, to go
Uh-huh.
in and add all kinds of cool stuff for us to fly past and through
Nice.
while we're shooting drones. Oh, one of the other things that I really wanted to put a lot more of in this level, but I just couldn't, was I wanted more spider drones, the little like
Ooh. Yeah,
land-based
yeah,
ones.
yeah.
But I just don't have them programmed well enough to really work. So maybe later on a future version of Scene 3, I'll go in and put in some more spider drones.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, which is funny, that was like the whole reason why I went back and fixed the targeting reticle was so that because when I originally had placed a couple, I realized like, oh, the player can't actually hit them because the player can't aim down far enough to
You're
be able to
right.
like hit those targets. Uh,
What
and
if
there's another
what if those spider drones are just there to shoot you? You can't kill them. You just gotta uh dodge
oh,
their attacks.
yeah, that's certainly possible. The amount of time that it would take me to, and this is the end of the level right here. We're gonna do
Uh-huh.
our
Uh-huh.
final little like loop up at the top here, and then into the thing. Um, the amount of code it would require to do that is like 80% of the way to the code to actually get them to do more combat type stuff.
Mhm. Mhm.
Ta-da! That's
Ah,
the end. Scene
congratulations, man.
3.
That is awesome, Michael. Good job, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Yeah, boy howdy, this was really difficult.
Mm, mm.
It took so long to put this together.
Can
But I
you
think that, yeah,
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry. I was going to ask, can you explain what are some of the challenges? What did you learn from, putting this together? If someone were to create this, what would you tell yourself, like your past self, like now you're the future Michael? What would future Michael tell? past, Michael, like some of the things that you've learned uh, doing this?
Well, so a lot of the things are tough because it's like, well, you kind of, it's not really something that somebody could tell you, and then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I just won't do that. Because a lot of the like nuances of the gameplay, like this right here, where we have this drone who's flying around and evading, and you've got this target where you need to try to stagger him before he hits you. That wasn't something I thought the game needed until I got to this point and was like, it's just not fun to like shoot the like shooting the drones is fun, but there's no like decision making there. Like I want to be able to, and there's no pressure, there's no intensity. Whereas with the commander drones now, when they're moving around and you see that targeting reticle come in and it starts to flash red, like I really need to stagger. Like I need to get my shots in order to stagger this guy fast because otherwise he's going to start just laying into me with his lasers. Because the commander
Right,
drones actually shoot a lot of lasers. If you watch these guys, like they shoot a little burst of like 3 shots at a time or something like that,
right.
which isn't too bad. And you can see my health up at the top. Like even though I've been sitting here letting them shoot me, I'm only at like half health. But there's another commander drone that we'll run into in a second here. Now I'm starting to get a little overwhelmed because I have let too many of them build up on screen. But when I get to the commander drone, I'll let him shoot me, and you'll see that he just like unloads a volley
Mm-hmm.
of shots
Mm-hmm.
and does a lot more damage. So there's a lot more pressure there to like I need to hit that guy. And even with these guys, like when all these targeting reticles are on screen, I could either choose to just like focus on one drone like this, like I'm gonna blow up that one, then I'm gonna blow up this one, then I'm gonna blow up this one, and ignore all the ones who are shooting me, or I
Yeah.
can like tag each one to get them to stop shooting and then slowly start focusing on the other ones. Like, oh, let me tag that guy real quick, then I'll keep
Oh,
working on this missile drone. Let me tag him again, or got him that time. Um, so I'm trying to create these scenarios where there's like pressure on the player and also you've got player choice. So like here, I'll just let this commander drone hit me, and you'll see like he shoots more bullets and they're faster. And so he's just like a much bigger threat. You really want to focus on these commanders to like stagger them so that way you get a little reprieve and then your shield has time to recharge.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but to go back to your question, Chris, one of the like probably the biggest thing that I would tell my past self is to solve this one problem. I would have said, don't try to do the complicated thing, just do the simple solution because it's the easiest, even though it seems like it's the least optimal. So one of the things that's really crazy about this level, so we're kind of like looking at things here, like this is our asteroid that Chris made, and the idea is that you're kind of like, I can sort of simulate this. You're, zooming down here, and you're kind of like flying through the canyons and stuff like this. The challenge is when you want to fly, and we've talked about this in other episodes, but it's sort of just like a little recap for people. If you're flying in this canyon here and you start to move towards the other side of the planet, you eventually are going to go like upside down.
Mm.
Um, the rail system that we use, which is the Cinemachine system, which is this green rail here, it looks kind of like a roller coaster rail. Um, it is amazing. It has these like it's super easy to create these like beautiful, smooth, curved rails that can go up and down. You can add nodes. Like it's wonderful. Way better than anything I could have programmed myself. However, it hates going upside down. It
Mm.
really does not like to be inverted at all.
Mm-hmm.
And weird things happen when you do that, and it's trying its best to like spin back around and get you back right side up. So trying to create a rail that went all the way around the asteroid just was not going to work.
Right.
So the solution that we came up with was, well, what if you simulate the experience? What if you've got the ship either standing still, or in this case, it is going to move a little bit because it's going to go along the rail? And then what if we just spin the asteroid underneath you to give you the illusion that you're flying around this asteroid? And that's exactly the way that this works. So if I hit play, but actually, I need to not maximize this and hit play and go back into the scene view, you're going to kind of see that happening. So like the white lines that you're seeing, that's like the player ship. So the player ship is like right there, and you can see some of the drones that are flying in to attack the player. Once the player's ship gets down around here, you see the asteroid is starting to rotate, and then as the player starts to move in this direction, the asteroid rotates with them. So the player actually isn't flying around the asteroid. They're flying basically on a flat surface. This rail doesn't really go up and down that much except for a couple of these loop-de-loops. But from the player's perspective, if I switch back to the game, well, it's chaos is happening. But it looks like we're actually flying over the horizon of the asteroid. But that's not
So,
what's happening. And all of this we've talked about in previous episodes. I've kind of showed you guys how that works. There was one more thing that I needed to figure out to actually get this to function the way it behaves here. That I did this past week, and that was, you'll notice here when the ship flies straight up, the asteroid's kind of stopped. Like, the asteroid isn't really moving. When the player comes back down, then the asteroid starts moving again.
yeah.
That was a little piece of math that I had to do to like teach the asteroid only rotate yourself when the player is actually traveling on the X or Z axis. So when the player is moving like horizontally, you need to be rotating because that's what you should be doing. But if the player's
Right.
flying up and away from you, don't
It's not.
rotate
Yeah.
because that's not the way that should look. Um, so I did that. That wasn't too bad. The thing that was the most persnickety problem was getting the skybox to work. I'm actually going to turn off actually the load gate. Turn that off. Just to makes so I'm going to turn off some of these drones so that way it's not so insane seeing.
Sure.
You can actually see the player's ship flying around without all this chaos. Um, One of the things that was like the most difficult to figure out was the skybox. So I figured out how to get the asteroid to work. But what you'll notice here when I hit play is the skybox is rotating the way that you would expect it to.
Right.
When the player's ship is flying, kind of corkscrewing down to the surface, the skybox is rotating the way you would expect it. When we go into this ravine here, skybox is also rotating the way that you would
Mm-hmm.
expect it.
Mm-hmm.
But if I click back out into the scene, the skybox is not doing anything. Like it's just sitting there. So from the player's perspective, they really should just be seeing, this kind of
Still.
static sky
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
I spent so much time trying to figure out how to get that to work, going like because the I had basically two ways to solve this problem. One, create a totally independent skybox, like build my own skybox, and like attach it to the asteroid and have it spin around.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, there's already a Unity skybox, and like trying to get the Unity skybox to rotate. Because like if I go over here to lighting, you can see in the environment, this is where the skybox lives.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the skybox is basically made up of, these different, will that show up here in the inspector? There's like a front, a back, all this stuff. And you can rotate the skybox. If I go, yeah, here. Actually, I can't even remember where the rotate is. There is a way to rotate a skybox, but you can only rotate it around the y-axis, which points up in Unity, which means it's
Mm-hmm.
basically you can rotate it this way.
Yeah.
So it would basically be the equivalent of like if you were in the player's ship, you can simulate the movement of turning left and right, but none of the other axes. It's like, okay, well,
Mm.
that's not going to work. So then the other solution was, well, what if instead of moving the skybox, you just had a camera that was dedicated to looking at the skybox, and all the other cameras would not look at the skybox, and then you just move that camera the way that it should in order to simulate the movement of the player's ship. So then you would
Oh.
have the skybox that's rotating around, or to the player, you would have the illusion of the skybox that's rotating around, but the skybox was actually standing still and you were moving the camera.
Yeah.
I spent so much time trying to get that to work, and it involved like quaternions and Euler angles and local rotation, and I drew like, you probably can't even see this because it's gonna blur out, but like multiple diagrams of like, here's what the ship's doing, here's what the screen's doing, here's what reality is versus the illusion. I did those diagrams. I did this diagram. I did like another diagram
Yeah.
here. Like
Damn.
I did all these diagrams just trying to wrap my head around like how the hell is this supposed to work? Um, I eventually gave up because I could not figure out how to get it to work using the like the math and the code and all that stuff. What I
Mhm.
ended up doing is
Mhm.
saying like, okay, I give up. Let's just try to build a skybox, and that's what I ended up doing. So if I click here, it's gonna look a little funky. And actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change the regular skybox or the actual skybox to the regular one, so you can kind of see what's happening here.
Mhm.
If I turn this on, boop,
Oh, wow.
I basically created, and we can fly inside here. I created a cube. It's not an actual cube, but it's like a cube of
Cube
raw
projection.
images
Yeah.
blown up and like sent out into various parts of space. Um, and then I just took the existing skybox images for back, down, front, left, all that stuff,
Uh-huh.
and I pasted them into those image planes. And then I just made them big enough and far away enough and encapsulated them into the uh, into this sort of like skybox, or encapsulated the entire level inside
Mhm.
this
Mm.
box. And
Mhm.
then I attached that box to the asteroid. So the asteroid's actually the parent. So if I zoom out and hit play and come back over here, it's going to look a little funky, but you can actually see that the skybox is rotating with the asteroid. Um,
I oh, yeah, 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 I
it's
see it.
super,
I see it.
super
It's
slow.
very
It'll
very
move faster in a second here when the
yeah.
player's ship becomes level. Now you can see it's starting to
Yep,
move.
there you go. There you go.
So
Nice.
that's how that illusion works. Here's the thing. I've been on a long rant. This is all answering that first question you asked, Chris, about like what I would have told my past self.
Right.
Um, After having spent hours and hours and hours, and I mean like probably close to 4 hours working on just trying to get the Quaternion thing to work and failing, um, this solution didn't require any code, and I did it in about 15 minutes. The analogy that I'm reminded of is for the space program that like in the 60s you had NASA in the US and then the Russian space program. There was this problem that they had where they were like, we're going to be sending our astronauts into space and we need them to write down information about on their logs to make sure they're checking the various technical instruments and keeping records of them. The problem is when in order to use like a ballpoint pen, the ink needs gravity to push
Mm,
the ink inside the tube
right.
down to the tip of the pen. So NASA spent God knows how many like millions of dollars and assigned like huge teams of people, like really smart people thinking about this problem, trying to figure it out, and to build this pin that astronauts could use in space. And that's
Yeah.
how they solved that problem. The Russians, on the other hand, who didn't have the kind of resources that the US did, they said like, okay, well, why don't we just send pencils into space and let the astronauts use pencils because they don't require gravity. And
Yeah.
that was their solution.
Yeah.
That's this for me
Right.
is like I often get stuck trying to figure out a solution using a really complicated answer as opposed to just doing the thing that's like the simplest, even if it
Right.
seems like that's probably the least efficient, the least optimal, the least sexy. If it works, just do it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because not only is this solution simpler, it's perfect. Like it does exactly what I needed it to do. All the other solutions, either using really complicated math that should have behaved appropriately, there's always some fly in the ointment that was mucking things up and making things broken and causing this undue behavior where like Unity would track rotation perfectly until something got to the threshold of 360 degrees because
Mhm.
basically from 0 to 359 is no problem.
Yeah.
Once you want to cross from 359 to 360, well, that's the same as 0. So
0.
Unity,
Right.
instead of going to 360, it goes back to 0. But that causes the rotation to go like, oh, I'm at 0 now? Whoop, and it'll like do this cartwheel to get back to where it
Oh,
was.
jeez.
And it's like, no, that's not what I want you to do. So the way to solve it was just to build a skybox, attach it to the asteroid, and let the asteroid rotate it. And now it looks wonderful and works
Yeah.
exactly the way that I wanted it to. So that was really the big one that I would, if I could have saved myself a lot of headache and hassle, I would have said just build the skybox. Don't try to figure out the stupid camera thing because it's just not going to work.
Yeah. That's a
All right.
that's a great solution, man. That's so simple and it's, it works.
Yeah. Um, so there you go. That's the skybox thing. Let me turn on some of the drones again. Wait, I leave that one off. This load gate. Yeah, I guess that's about it. There was a whole lot of time that I spent getting the HUD stuff to work, and doing some balance and some tuning. Like one of the things that I can show you is if I click on the prefab for the, where are my prefabs? I'm totally blind. Why can't, here we go, prefabs. Wait, no, that's Polygon prefabs. Here are my prefabs. Drones, there we go. And actually, to make this a little easier to read, so here, like, should be like above my head. These are all this, like, I added additional code to like get certain things to work. Like these mandatory prefabs are just to make sure that, when the drone blows up, it creates the appropriate explosion. When it gets hit, it creates the right sparks and so on and so
Mm.
forth.
Mhm.
And then there's some HUD stuff in here, like the health bar is, this thing. But then I also added a whole bunch more uh, settings to allow fine tuning of, how much health does each drone have, what's the score, how much damage does it do, how many times do you have to hit it before it, staggers and stops attacking.
Mhm.
Also, like, how fast does it recover once you do stagger it? Does it come back really quickly, or does it like take a second to kind of rotate back into position? And also, like, if the drone flies away and you stop shooting it, how long before you, how do I explain this one? So like there's a certain number of hits you have to like hit a drone with before it staggers.
Right.
Um, if you, let's say that number's 10, if you hit the drone 10 times, then it'll stagger. If you hit him 8 times and then, veer off and start shooting something else, when you come back and you hit him 2 more times, does he immediately stagger, or does he like recover some of his, points? So that way when you
Mm.
come back, you have to start from scratch and like
Sure.
go from 0 all the way to 10 again. So that's kind of like what the seconds to reset stagger is. It's like, how long can you attack another enemy before that hits resets?
Right.
And a bunch of settings like that. That once I added enough of those, then I could create different behaviors and like really fine tune the way that the commander drone, for example, would work. Where if like I click on him, he's got 90 hit points compared to the regular drone's only got 8, so he's got a lot more health. He's also
Mm.
worth a lot more points. Takes more hits to stagger, so on and so forth. It took a long time to like fine tune those things and figure them out. And one thing that I'll show you, I'm not going to go into the details of it, but here's the code for the drone script. So this is like every drone uses this code base as its sort of base, and then on top of that, the different types of drones have their own code sets. And this is like 200, 300, or the
Wow.
300 lines of code
Jeez.
just for the like base functionality of the drones. That does not include if I click over and look at like, okay, well, let's see, what is the leapfrog drone doing? That's the one who kind of like zooms around in front of the player. Um, that's another almost 200 lines of code for that. Um, all of that is just to say that there's like so much stuff happening behind the scenes
Mhm.
that allows the like gameplay functionality to happen, and I spent a whole bunch of time kind of working on that stuff and fine tuning things to really get the game to be fun. Because one of the things that I realized, that was like both like more important than trying to figure out how to build environmental stuff, um, was making sure that it's fun to shoot these things.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, then game's not fun.
Yeah.
So I really spent a lot more time in the mindset of like, okay, I need to focus most of my design efforts on making this stuff fun and having the environment be like this cool thing that is the backdrop, but
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
necessarily the thing that you're like really interacting with.
Yeah.
Um, it would be great to get to that point and to have some more environmental interaction, especially with like the timed target events and things like that. Uh, but really, as long as this is fun, having like a drone on screen that you're trying, like, oh man, I got to kill this guy before he starts shooting me. And in this level too, one of the things that I want to do, one of the objectives, I thought was like, I originally thought like, oh, it'd be cool if this level was like a chase sequence where you're like chasing a commander drone or something.
Right.
And I may still end up doing that, but the simpler version of that is like, what if your objective was to like take out 5 commander drones in this level? So there would be 5 of them. You'd have like, and maybe you can even have a timer on the screen that's showing like, here's how long you have to take this guy out. And then when you get to the end of the like score screen, that would be one of the things that it would show. It'd be like, hey, you got 4 out of 5 of the commander drones. Good job, but try better next time. So anyway, to get back to the point I was trying to make before I distracted myself, is I spent most of my time focusing on just like trying to make the core gameplay stuff fun and really like not focusing on the environmental stuff,
Mhm. Mhm.
because I think that was the right decision. But then also because I realized like it is really hard to do all of this. Like to do all of these things, even if it seems like, oh yeah, just add some cool stuff from the environment, like that's a whole other career. Like that's a whole other thing
Yeah.
for a different team member to who could spend their whole time on the development, just making the environmental design
Mhm.
um, a thing. And so doing like all the game design and like like not creating the environmental assets because obviously, thank God, Chris is here to do that. But to figure out like how to place those things, um, I just didn't have time. Just didn't have time to
Yeah,
do all that.
yeah. It's in when I was working at Petroglyph, it was actually Joel, the photographer buddy of mine. He was the leveled artist who took all the assets and then placed those assets in the environment. There was one person dedicated to do all that. So you're actually doing, the programming and, making it fun, while you also got to concentrate on, populating the world. And again, give that to me. I'll take care of it. You concentrate on making the game fun, and I'll deal with the backdrop.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
Chris. I
yeah, yeah,
super appreciate that. And yeah, it's
yeah,
certainly helpful to have that context.
yeah. I totally know what you're talking about, man.
Um, yeah. Oh, so part of the reason for the drones killing themselves right there is because I also created this thing. I added additional functionality to the drone gates. Like this one right here, you can see there's a little tiny boolean right here called despawn gate.
Mm.
And basically what that does is that means that if I have that checked, any drone that flies through that gate goes into like a flee or self-destruct mode,
Mhm.
where
Mhm.
I basically tell them, hey, if you pass through this gate, I want you to enter flee mode. And that basically just means they disengage attack and they fly off screen and then kill themselves and don't reward the player with points.
Sure.
Um, that's also programmed in such a way that I don't know if you can. Let's see if I close this. You could probably. Jeez. Hopefully you can read this right here where it says flee after seconds.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So that's another thing that I programmed into the gates to fix a problem that came up in scene one where there was that moment where like I'm flying backwards in scene one and shooting enemies. If you don't kill all of them and then you turn around to face forward, they'll just keep shooting you in the ass even though you
Mhm.
can't fight them back.
Mhm.
In order to solve that problem, that's why I introduced the despawn gate and then the flee after seconds. That way, we can program in like when you fly through this gate, spawn in 3 drones. If the player hasn't killed all of them after 10 seconds, they need to just
Go
flee
away.
and leave.
Yeah.
That way,
Yeah.
the player isn't like accumulating this like army of drones around them as they fly through the level. Um, so that's where those two things came into play, and that's the reason why those drones are killing themselves is because there's like some conflict between I'm spawning in drones that are immediately colliding with a despawn gate or something.
Sure.
Um, I don't know why they're flying into screen though. They're supposed to be flying off screen, so that's another thing that's kind of weird. But yeah, the other thing that I'm a little afraid of too, speaking of scene one, is I made so many changes to the game in scene three. I wonder if scene one's gonna be just like completely broken now.
Well, aren't they separate files, like separate scenes?
Yes, they're separate files in the sense that they have like totally different asset layouts, but
Mm.
all of the scripts are shared, all of the
Oh,
prefabs are
sure,
shared.
sure,
So
sure.
anytime you make a change to one of those things, it's shared across all of them.
All right.
So I'm curious. I'm gonna hit play. I haven't done this before. This may be just okay. That's not good. Um,
It's doing something.
yeah, it was doing something, but it was not showing the environment the way it was supposed to. Clear flag, skybox.
While you figured that out, Michael, I just want to say, hello, Cookie. So good to see you. I saw you. I didn't want to interrupt Michael. Yeah, but it's so good to
Yep.
see you.
I'm gonna go ahead and
Uh,
switch back to C3.
yeah, and thank you so much, Raiders, for being here. Simon, you're in here. Thank you so much for being here. Raleigh Star, awesome. You guys are all in here. Thank you. And I noticed that you guys have been talking about your guys' health, and hopefully everyone gets better because COVID is still out there, and hopefully everyone stays safe. Take all the necessary precautions you can. All right. But yeah, welcome, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome. Thanks everybody. And sorry, I ranted for a long time. If we've got comments or questions from the chat, uh, please we can get caught up on hearing what other folks have to say.
Yeah, let me see. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see. Captain Blue says the only way to solve the loop thing that I can think of is momentarily animate a loop on the ship mesh itself relative to the game object that is following the rail.
Mm,
Messy though,
hmm.
messy. Yeah. So I agree. Like, let's just keep it as, simple as possible.
Yeah,
Uh,
totally.
yeah.
Yep, go ahead.
So, I want to ask you a few questions, but I want to make sure you're done with the presentation first.
Yeah, I mean, if there's other things that I can go into, I can show you like how kind of crazy it was. Actually, yeah, that's one thing that I will show you. That was a little wacky. Uh, is how this I think is deceptively simple. Of like, oh yeah, it's a long path, but okay, yeah, whatever. Um, I'm gonna show you how I had to make this because it was a ridiculous pain in the ass. So I'm going to hide this. I'm going to delete. There's a lot of nodes here. This is the longest rail in the game, and I didn't want to make it separate rails and do the
Whoa.
rail change thing
Yeah.
because oh, don't worry, I made a duplicate of the rail. This is a brand new one.
All right.
I didn't
Are you sure?
want.
Just
Yeah.
make sure.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Just to prove it to you. There you go. That's
Okay,
the
good.
original.
All right.
It's still there.
Good, good, good.
Um, but I've been using Git, so I would have been able to get it back anyway if I had actually
Nice.
been a bonehead and deleted it.
Nice.
Um, I didn't want to change Rails because I was afraid of how it would break things.
Mm-hmm.
Because basically the way I built the rail is I would like build a little bit of it like this, and actually to save us some time, I'm gonna make the player go faster. Let's speed this up to 50. So I would build a little bit of the rail. We would fly in there, and I would go like, okay. Oh yeah, maybe I should turn off these drones. Yeah, I should disable these. So it flies to, oh, I know why it's doing that. Because it's still flying on the original rail. I need to switch this to the new one. And let's disable all of the gates and then fly. Okay, so now we're flying on the new rail. It should stop somewhere over here, like it's gonna get through the canyon and then stop right there. Bam. So then I would go like, okay, let me check in here, go to the player rig, go like, okay, that's where the player is. Wait, why did it stop there? Oh yeah, because that's where the rail ends. So the rail ended right there, and then I would go
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I want to continue the rail. It looks like it needs to just kind of keep going straight. So then I would come into here and go like, okay, let's continue the rail. But as you can see, like I have no idea where the asteroid's going to be
Right.
right there.
Yeah.
So then the next thing I had to do is like, okay, let's see where it ends up after that point. So we fly in here, goes, flies up 2.5, and I go, oh, okay, that's good, but it looks like he's getting a little bit low there. He's about to crash into the ground, so maybe I need to lift up point number 5 here. So stop play, grab 5, let's go up a little bit, but then it seemed like we could keep going straight. And then do it again,
Oh, wow.
and
Yeah, I see
yeah,
where this is going.
for all 150 nodes, do that. Oh, collision there. So you
Yeah,
could see,
yeah.
yeah, it's going through the terrain here. So this definitely needs to come up quite a bit higher. This needs to come up higher. And then on and on and on. I'm not going to rebuild the whole thing for you guys, but basically just have some idea of like uh, how difficult it was to actually get just the flight path mapped
Yeah.
out. The thing that was really handy was, this was I had the flight path, the one that you made, Chris. Like I had
Uh-huh.
this
Uh-huh.
bar in here, so it was really easy for me to use that, like to just turn that on and go like, okay, I'm just going to have the player ship fly as close to that as possible. So then when it would get to wherever its stopping point was, I would go like, oh, actually, I'm way off the rail there. So like,
Uh-huh.
let me go in here, and I'm going to need to move this thing. And you can't do this while the game is running, because if I like grab this and was like, oh, let me move it over here, you can see the
Yeah.
asteroid's moving, and then also as soon as I hit stop, boop, it goes back, because
Yep.
the way Unity works is
Yep.
it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
let you do anything while you're running the game. So then
Right.
I have to move this over here, and then you move this, and like hope that that was aligned. Um, that took hours and hours and hours and like a day and a half just to do that.
Yeah.
So, but that's just a sneak peek at behind the scenes of like how all that came together, how difficult it was. Um, but enough of me seeking your sympathy for all the pain that I went through this week. You said you had questions, Chris. What's cooking?
Well, first of all, holy cow, that definitely takes a lot of patience, man. And you did it. You did what you had to do, and oh my gosh, that I can't imagine going through all that and still keeping all the hairs on my head. It's quite insane. That's
Yeah,
a
it
lot
was.
of nodes. Um, so my question kind of relates to exactly what you just showed. Huh.
Oh,
How d- how do
2.5.
how do I how do I
Ooh, that.
pop so how do I populate the asteroid since it's moving?
Like how would you do that in Unity?
Yeah, like I definitely know that all the structures probably needs to be parented to the asteroid, right?
Correct.
And while it's moving, I got to be careful that the structures doesn't hit the ship. I guess is is the track that I made moving along with is it parented to the asteroid as well?
Yep.
Okay, so theoretically I could just place the place all the architecture structures um around the path and I should be okay.
Correct.
All right.
I mean, we're moving at like an accelerated speed
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
this I left the path on just so you can see how closely I followed it. Obviously, right there I couldn't because
Right,
that's where
right.
the loop happens.
Uh-huh.
But then, we come back down and then we get back on track with the rail.
Right. Right.
Um, right here, we're back with it. That's the one that comes down from that loop. The other ones that we saw were different
Yeah.
things. Yeah, so if you follow the rail, that is a visual indicator of where the ship's flight path actually is.
Right.
And yeah, it's attached to the asteroid, and anything that you want to like place in the environment, it is as easy as just figuring out like where you want it to be placed. Like for example, let's see here.
And then just drag it in the folder of the asteroid and then it's apparent.
Correct.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'll just show you. Let me create a big ass cube. Uh, um, 50, 50, 50, and put that guy like right there. And now if I drag it under the asteroid, because right now it just exists in space. So if we hit play, like it's not going to move. It's going to be its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it
Mm-hmm.
looks like it's there, it's not actually going to move with the asteroid. If I click into the scene, you see it's not moving with it. But if we do add it to the asteroid, uh, and
Boom.
then hit play, and I'll switch back here just so you can
Yeah,
see it. Now
nice.
you can see it's
Nice.
actually moving with the asteroid. So
Nice.
yeah, anything that, as long as it's parented to the asteroid, will behave exactly as you'd expect. The
Got
only
it.
thing that's a pain in the ass in Unity is, oh, and the other thing, so like, and you can rotate the asteroid however you want. So if you're like, I want to put something over here,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
you can do that. And the flight path, you can see the flight path moves with it, so you'll
Right.
always know like where the flight path is, and then you can say like, oh, that's where I want to put that cube. Then you could drop your cube there. Um, in order to make sure that the game still works, though, once you're done placing everything, the asteroid has to be in the 0000 position. So
Understood.
if we started it right here,
It
things are
would
going
be
to
all
be broken because it's
wonky.
we're going to be flying into a different part of the planet
Sure.
now.
Sure, sure.
Um, but as long as you reset this to 0, then it works no problem, and the player ship can go at basically any speed,
Uh-huh.
um, and it won't break because the asteroid is kind of like hard locked to the movement of the ship. So wherever
R-
in space the ship has moved, that's how much it will have rotated. So even if we want to go slower or faster, it doesn't matter. The ship is still going to follow that path perfectly.
Right. Got it. Next
Um,
question
mhm,
that I have is if I were to make any changes to the asteroid that we're looking at right now, because I'm not liking how it looks. It looks a little bit geometry-ish.
mhm,
You can see all the facets and whatnot.
sure.
How easy would it be for me to swap out the current one with the new one?
Really easy. So,
Okay.
for example, like I'm just gonna use a sphere. We'll just pretend that this sphere is your new asteroid.
Yeah.
That's still not big enough. Maybe 120, 120,
More.
120.
More.
Wow, it's still not big enough. Man, that
More.
asteroid's huge.
Yes.
Okay, now it's too
Yes.
big.
Oh, it's too big.
Oops,
And that's
300. Okay, that's
that's just right.
well,
Or it's
I
too
think it's
too
still a
small.
little bit too small. But
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
for the sake of this, oh, you know what? I'll just do this.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say that that's the new asteroid that you want. All we would have to do is like grab these pieces that are parented to that asteroid. I guess it's just I can't tell.
And then move it
I think it says,
underneath the new geometry.
yep, just drag it under there,
Oh,
and then you
wow.
just get rid of this one,
Perfect.
and then you're done.
Nice, 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 nice. Good. Nice. Cause yeah, there's a lot of areas where I kind of want it to be a little bit better.
Sure. Yeah. And feel free. The only probably the thing that would make it easiest to ensure that dropping it back in the scene wouldn't cause any problems is however you make the edits, or however you once you're done with editing the geometry and you export the file, make sure that when it comes into Unity, it's in this exact same orientation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So that way, when it is zeroed out, you know that it's always going to be, with
Right.
that peak facing up, and with that canyon facing, or yeah, that canyon facing away from the z-axis in world space.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, that's world space right there. But yeah, I mean, changing out that model, that's no problem at all.
Cool. Cool. And then lights will act the same way. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, and I had like a couple, yeah, these right here. I've got a couple of lights that I put on the backside,
Mm-hmm.
because only the underside, or this backside, is dark because the light for the scene is attached to the asteroid. That's in order to create the illusion that you're actually flying around the asteroid, because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise it really will look like the asteroid's just rotating underneath you if the sun stays with the player as opposed to
Right.
rotating with the asteroid.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so on the underside, that's where I kind of planted a couple of these, started playing with a couple of lights. I think, yeah, there's a couple in there too, that
I
disappear when you get far away.
I think we could add another sun. I mean, in space, you
Sure,
have like different nebulas that's lighting the surface,
absolutely.
right? So instead of like putting multiple tiny little spotlights, we could have nice, like even three light sources if we wanted to,
Yeah,
just to light it
absolutely.
evenly. Yeah.
So I'm gonna, man, can I reduce the intensity below? Yeah, okay, so you
Yeah,
could do,
there you go.
yeah, a little something like that where you could,
Mm-hmm.
move this guy down here and be like, okay, that's gonna soften up some of those really dark shadows on that side, and then
Mm-hmm.
maybe
Mm-hmm.
we grab another one and move him onto this side and go this way, something like this. Um,
Yeah. Yep.
just
Yep. Yep.
kind of like reduce the number of like pure dark side of the moon
Right.
parts.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and just make sure that, yeah, this actually, I mean, even though I just kind of threw this together real quick, that doesn't look too bad.
Yeah.
You got like really bright section, you kind of like a lot of halftones, and only
Mm-hmm.
one part in the back where it's like, ooh, that's the dark part of the mission.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I mean, please feel free to play with that. Get something that you're happy with that you like. Feel free to add any of that stuff.
Cool.
Again, as long as those are attached to the asteroid, nothing's gonna break.
Yeah. So essentially everything is just gonna go on under the asteroid folder or asteroid thing. Yeah.
Yes, for
My
almost everything you're
purpose.
going to be doing, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All the environment stuff should be attached to the asteroid.
Yeah.
Uh, even stuff that like if you want something floating, you're going to still want it to be parented under the asteroid. So like if you
Right.
wanted, I don't know, some debris or something kind of like hovering in the air right here, so when the player flies through the canyon, at that part they gotta like, oh, I gotta dive underneath this floating
Mm-hmm.
rock or
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You'd still want it parented to the asteroid and then just offset
Nice.
from the surface.
Cool. Awesome, man. I think I know what to do. I think hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm just dreading the fact that I'm gonna have to like rewire my brain to, how, rotating, you know, panning is all a little bit different compared
An-
to Blender.
Another thing you could consider is if you want to just do it in Blender, and then export that whole thing as like one model, we
Oh
could try
shit.
that, and see if it causes a
Uh,
performance problem. I kind of don't think it will. I mean, Unity seems perfectly fine to have this entire giant asteroid in here rotating around.
well,
That's
well,
never been a performance problem,
I,
but
I don't I
sorry, go
don't
ahead.
I don't think so because if we were to re-import it into Unity, Unity is gonna see all those architecture elements as individual
Oh, I see what you're
geometries
saying.
now. Do you know what I mean? I don't.
Well, what if? Well, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I would just now we're in Unity. Let's just play in Unity. I don't want to
Okay.
go back and forth because yeah, if you create the geometry and if I create everything in kind of like what I did for scene 5. All the scene 5 pieces, they don't repeat. They're not like instances. They're actually different geometries. If I were to really optimize it, I would actually go back into Unity and delete the ones that's actually repetitive and just
Hmm.
make instances and repurpose them. But that just takes forever. So I was just like, fuck it. We'll just use that as special geometry. But for this case, I definitely wanted to optimize it and just the work in Unity. That don't be lazy. I'm telling myself that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Then yeah, if that's the way you want to go, then that works for me.
Yeah.
Um, so there you go. Next steps, I can export this as its own, like export this scene as its own. Well, let me ask you this because I'm not never done this before, so I don't know what the better way to do this is. I can give you like the entire project. Can I do that? I don't even know if I know how to do that. Okay, since I don't know how to do that, what I do know how to do is I can export a scene.
Mhm.
So I can give you the scene exactly as it is here,
Mhm.
any of the dependencies that this scene has. So like any scripts that are running in this scene, any models that are in this scene, prefabs that I've made, or any of that stuff will get all bundled into one scene file, and then I can give that to you.
Yeah.
And then on your end, you can import that into a brand new project,
Yeah.
and it'll import, and then you'll basically have exactly what I have here on
Yeah.
your computer. You can make changes to it, and then you can do the same thing. Once you're like, okay, that looks good to me, you can either export that whole scene, or if you're like, hey, Michael, I only changed the asteroid, here's export of just the asteroid, dump that into your scene 3. We could do that.
Right.
Either way works, but that's kind of my plan to like give this to you, is to just do an export of scene 3.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Cool. And then for me, continuing next steps, I'm going to do scene 2, 4, and 5 next. I don't know which order. After this week, I need a bit of a break, so I'm gonna take at least a day, a half
Yeah.
day,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
day.
yeah. Yeah.
But then I'm gonna get working on those. I'm also at some point kind of like in addition to just completing the like rough draft of the scenes, I'm also continuing to implement other gameplay functionality. As you can see, from this week, a lot more functionality with the way you interact and fight the drones. The HUD system is basically functional here, with a couple of things that are still missing, like the shield recharge thing that I had mentioned I hadn't got to yet. I'm going to keep adding stuff like that throughout the month. Then probably the next one I'm going to try to do for next week will be to include the score screen. Probably
Mhm.
not the stage progression screen yet, but
Mhm.
I'm going to try to include when you complete a mission, bam, the score screen appears, and hopefully has that cool animation with the silhouettes populating on the screen.
Yeah.
Um, so that's my dream goal. I'm going to try to do that and another mission by next Wednesday. Um, and then maybe the following week I'll do another mission and then the stage progression screen. The reason why I don't want to do that one yet is because that one is a little bit more complicated in that it has to bridge the unloading of one scene and the loading of a new scene.
Sure.
Whereas the score screen just has to hey, when you get to the end of the stage, show this screen.
Right.
So just it's a little bit more complicated programmatically. Um, yeah, that's about it.
Well,
And at some
man,
point, I also
good
want to
job,
do a
dude.
lot. Thank you. I also want to do a lot more fine tuning with the game design, because I think the T drones are pretty fun to shoot. Like I think they're about 80% of the way there. They're just like base drones. I think the commander drone's pretty cool and fun. I think the missile drone sucks. Like it's just not fun to shoot, and there's like no urgency when they're on screen. I'm just like, oh yeah, those missiles shoot so slowly. I'm just gonna ignore him until I kill all these other things, because these other things are way more threatening to me. So I'm gonna, when I have time,
Mhm.
again, that's a whole other job, is the game
Yeah.
designer.
Yeah.
Go in there and kind of tweak that stuff and make them a little bit more fun to play. And if there's a lot of time, or maybe after after the prototype phase, when we're working into a final release, I may look at changing the missile drones and maybe like getting rid of the missiles and making them more like a shield drone, where they kind of like come in and buff all the other drones in the area,
Oh,
so
I
that can
see.
provide a shield for them. So that way
Yeah.
the player has a choice, like, oh man, that thing is not attacking me, but it's also putting the shield on all these other drones around him. Let
Right.
me try to take him out first. That way these other drones aren't so hard to punch through.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, trying to create that, because like one of the most important things I think from a game design perspective, or in like game design theory, is player choice. You want players to have to make decisions in any given moment about, like, do I do A, or do I do B, or do I do C, and then have consequences of those decisions. Because if there's no decision to make, it's not really a game. It's just something that's happening to you.
Right.
But if you're deciding, like, ooh, do I focus the commander drone or do I focus the missile drones? Um, those choices need to exist, and they need to be meaningful and interesting. And they can't be as obvious as this one, which is like right now the choice between fighting the commander drone or this missile drone is obvious. Like, this commander
Yeah.
drone's kicking my ass,
Yeah.
and the missile drone is no threat at all. So I'm just going to do this and
What
totally ignore that guy.
what if
That's
you
bad
made
design.
the what if you just made the like the solution right now? I mean, what if you just made the missile shoot more faster and more missiles?
Yep, that's definitely a
Yeah.
possibility.
Yeah.
And before like switching the missile drone to a shield drone, or like adding a shield drone, that is the solution that I'm gonna look into with the missile drone, because I have this idea that I think what makes them unfun right now is they kind of need to be sort of like a little mini commander drone, where instead of having like a whole bunch of drones on screen at the same time, like 3 missile drones and 4 regular drones, I think there should be a little break where it's like just a missile drone,
Hmm.
and it has like a whole bunch of health, a really high hit to stagger, meaning you gotta just like pound that thing to get him to stagger. But if you don't get that, then he just unloads like a volley of missiles at you all at
Yeah.
once.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you're like in, oh man, I didn't stagger him, so now I've got to like fly around the screen to dodge all these missiles for like 5 seconds. And then when he's reloading, I'll have a chance to like, pound him some more.
Right.
Um, it needs something like that that's different than just a worse T drone, which is what it is right now.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, good suggestion. That's definitely something I'm already kind of like thinking about. Like, ooh, what if there
Yeah.
were more missiles, or they did more damage, or they shot
Yeah.
faster? Um, but again, that's all stuff that just takes time to like tweak a couple of knobs over here and then hit play. And like, is that fun? No. Let me adjust it again. And hit play. Is that fun yet? No, still not fun. Okay, that process can take a really
Right.
long time.
Right. Right. Right.
Um, but yeah. Anyway,
Oh,
whew.
good job, dude. Yeah, good job with this, man. I can't wait to see the other ones, but yeah, I can't wait to populate this and first, obviously, I want to change up the asteroid. It looks, I don't like the sharp edges. That's so bothering me right now.
Sure.
Ugh.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to add more polys to get it a little bit smoother,
Yeah,
by all means.
yeah, because right now it feels like a 80s game,
Mm-hmm.
like in the environment.
Yeah. It's well, which I mean, if we really wanted to lean into it, we could like, hey, we're trying to make one of these like '90s arcade shooters. Like that's
Yeah,
very uh appropriate visually for that aesthetic. But I mean, given the technology and the advancements that we have available to
right.
us, we can make this look a lot sexier for sure.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I
Um,
I I'm gonna do a little bit of work on it.
sure. And which, by the way, I can't tell you like how relieving it is to me to have you there to be able to do that, to take this and to add stuff and to make the environment that we're flying through look cool. Because I just couldn't imagine doing this without your help.
Yeah. No,
So
no,
thank
uh,
you, man.
I can do it. No promises that it'll look better. I mean, I'll try, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
I have every faith in you. That's gonna look
Yeah.
super badass.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
But we'll see. But yeah, good
And
job, man.
also, thank you. And also, when you get a hold, because this will be like basically the first time you've been able to, hit the
Play.
play button and actually play the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Um, I would love any feedback about like, this is cool,
Oh,
this sucks, this is too hard, this is
oh,
too easy.
yeah.
Any of that information would be really helpful to me because obviously, like, I'm the only person playing it, and I don't know if like, is this too? There've already been times where I'm like, this is too easy. Let me throw a bunch of crazy shit in there, and then I realize like, this might be the very first time anybody's like
Mhm.
playing
Mhm.
this.
Mhm.
I should really ease them into it. Like the very first commander drone in this level, I originally had it like you're fighting him and then like a swarm of 10 other T drones. And I was like,
Mhm.
that's too much. I need to just do like a couple of drones here that are not coming in too hot and heavy. You've got plenty of time to like, get because it's the beginning of the level. You don't want to like come in and beat the player to a pulp immediately.
Right.
Have a couple of drones that move in kind of slowly. You've got plenty of time to take them out. Towards the end here, it's like starting to build up just a little bit of pressure. But by the time you take out this last guy, that's when the commander drone has appeared, and no new drones appear now. So
Right.
because I wanted the first time you fight this guy to be you're just fighting him, so that way you can understand like, oh, okay, I see how this is working. This guy's different. This guy's got a lot of health. He's hard to stagger. I got to keep shooting him. He's also dodging around.
Mhm.
Um, Maybe I need to slow it down there though, because if you don't have enough time to take him out before he's gone, then you, you miss out. Or
Yeah.
maybe that's appropriate because maybe we want to teach the player if you don't kill the commander drone quickly enough, they go away. And maybe under the mission objectives over here, we can have like the 5 drones, and then that one gets a red X because you missed it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
the other
Yeah.
ones, if you kill them, you'll get a little green check mark or something.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, that's all stuff that's like above and beyond just
Mhm.
getting the to the truest sense of the word, the prototype done, which
Mhm.
is just like proof of concept. This is kind of a rough idea of like what it's going to feel like, what it's going to look like, the general idea, but it's not fine-tuned or balanced yet.
Right, right.
So
Captain Blue asked, have you tried this with a controller yet?
no, I have not, and I really should because that might um, completely change. Well, what's probably going to have to happen? Good question, Captain Blue, and thank you for asking that. What's probably going to have to happen is there's going to have to be just a totally different set of control balancing for the controller. Like a lot of the in-game stuff maybe can be the same, but if you're using a controller, it probably needs to have a different sensitivity when I, move to the left or when I move to the right. Because currently everything is calibrated for I mean mouse and keyboard, but I'm not really using the mouse to do anything but shoot. But yeah, getting it to feel effective for the controller is going to be a whole other ballgame.
Mm,
Not going to do that for the prototype. That will be done for the full release.
nice.
A good question.
Yeah, thank you, Captain Blue. Man, I can't wait to get get this. Well, I wish I could do this in Blender, but well, fine, I'll use Unity to populate stuff. And can you make sure that the asteroids are in there in the package as well?
Yeah, just the standard like generic asteroids.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Sure.
Because
Yep.
I think
Absolutely.
we could totally utilize that.
Yeah, maybe the easiest way to do that, I can just send you both scene 1 and scene 3,
Mm,
because if you load both of those into your project, you'll have all of the assets that appear in scene 1, which include all those different types of asteroids, and you'll also have all the assets that appear here in scene 3.
okay. But when I import it, it's not going to like. It's just going to be in the project folders. It's not going to pop into the scene, right? Until I
Uh,
drag it in.
uh,
I'll
I'm not
figure it
100%.
out. Oh
Okay,
yeah, I'll
so
figure it out.
well,
I'll figure it
what
out.
happens when you import a scene is if that scene has dependent folders, like, oh, there's a folder with prefabs and those prefabs are being used in this scene,
Uh-huh.
it'll import that folder into your project. So
Okay.
like basically if you look in my project hierarchy here, like with all these different folders in here, and then I've got these scenes, right? So here's the scene 3 file.
Oh, I
This is the
see.
this is the file that you'll get. When you
Mm-hmm.
import this though, any like if there are scripts that are being used in scene 3, it's going to create in your project a scripts folder, and it's going to include in this folder all the different, like the drone script is being used, the drone aim script is being used, the scene 3 asteroid script is being used. All
Mm-hmm.
of those are going to appear inside a folder in your project called scripts.
Nice.
um, it's basically going to replicate my project structure in your
Yeah.
project,
Yeah.
but only for the pieces that scene is dependent upon.
Sure. Sure. Got it. Got it. Got it. Yeah. And all my questions will be answered when I open the scene up.
And new questions will arise, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
God, I'm sure. I'm gonna be like bitching. I'm very, very sure. I'm gonna be like, why isn't this working? This works in Blender. How come does Michael, what the hell? Yeah, I'm very sure
Yep.
that's probably gonna happen.
I think it's going to be frustrating,
Yeah.
to say the least. But I'll do my best to help if you have questions.
Yeah, thanks, thanks. But yeah, my goal, I guess for my homework is to take this environment and just populate it and make it look as sexy as possible.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Um, and don't feel constrained either by like, oh, something's happening with like the commander drone is right here, like I got to make sure that I don't f with that. Like if you have an idea for like a cool thing, I just put it in there. Like we can find ways to it's none of this is like set in stone for me. I'm not like committed to like, yeah, this has got to be where the commander drone appears. It's just this is my first draft of
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
this would be cool. Let me move this. Let me put that at the
Yeah.
tail end there,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. But we can definitely adjust things based on like, oh man, that part where you created that like refinery that we fly through, like, oh, that's so rad. I'm gonna add in a timed event where you gotta like shoot something while you're like corkscrewing through there or whatever.
Right. Right.
Um, or even changing the flight path if you like are playing and you realize like, hey,
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Nope. That I'm
no,
not doing
not gonna
that.
do that.
Nope.
Okay,
Nope. Nope. Sorry.
great. No,
I'm too chicken
that's
shit
yeah.
to do that.
and it would be a pain in the ass to change that.
Yeah.
But I'm I'm well okay with putting in with sacrificing blood, sweat, and tears to make the project better if that's what is needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anywho, that basically concludes my update for this week. Hopefully that was satisfying.
Yeah, no, that's great. Again, I keep saying it, but good job, Michael. This is one down, four more to go, but so far it's looking and feels good, and I can't wait to get music in here too.
Yeah. Actually two down because scene one is
Oh,
basically
that's
done.
right. Yeah, 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 yeah. Or so you think.
Um, yeah.
Apparently,
Oh,
it
well,
wasn't
yeah. It's
playing,
completely,
or
and I knew it. I knew that was gonna happen because I was like,
oh,
while I was working on this scene, I knew, man, I'm adding in so much new cool shit, but
damn.
none of scene one was programmed with this in mind, so
Uh,
it's inevitably gonna be broken. And what do you know, it is. So
damn.
yeah.
But at least the pieces are in place. Captain Blue says, I think it will be very important to put obstacles on the path so you aren't flying in a tunnel of backdrop, but the pilot itself cannot touch controller. But the pilot itself could not touch the controller if there weren't any drones there. I think it would be very
Oh,
important to
I
put
see. I
obstacles in
understand
the
what he's
path.
saying. He's basically
Okay.
saying if you were flying through the level and there were no drones,
Mm-hmm.
um, there should still be a way for you to die if you don't do
Oh,
something.
sure, sure, sure.
It's like currently, if I took all the drones out of this level,
Mm-hmm.
there's no
Threat.
fail state. I can't possibly lose.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, yeah. So yeah, that's definitely something we would like in the because part of the thing that we can do differently than a first person shooter is you give the player agency to fly the ship around and dodge obstacles as opposed to just being in the cockpit where you can't really affect that. So yeah, that's definitely something we want to include. I
Yeah.
just ran out of time. Like I had ideas for like, oh man, yeah, I want to put some cool stuff in the environment and have moments where the player's got to dodge things and maybe even like. And the other thing you'll notice too is like the camera doesn't. We never fly backwards or sideways or do anything
Right.
like that. I would have liked to, but it just wasn't time.
Yeah. Yep. 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 Lissy says, it looks very nice. Y'all are really amazing for just taking yourselves on this journey. Yeah, thank you so much, Lissy. Really
Yeah,
appreciate your
thank you.
comment, man. Thank
Thank
you.
you for the encouragement.
Yeah, we uh we worked our asses off for this game. I have so much respect for video game designers now. I mean, I did
It
have
is
respect, but
hard.
now that I'm actually doing it, it's not easy, dude.
Yeah, it is not.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I really eh, put in the hours and the blood and the sweat and the tears this week and this is as good as I could do. I still couldn't like this to me really does feel like, oh yeah, this is living up to the name, prototype first draft.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm. Mhm.
it's there's not a lot of sophistication here or balance or there's certain parts are still janky and broken, but
Yeah.
just out of time, man. I
Yeah.
couldn't do more. And I don't have more time to continue working on it, so I've got to move on to the next scene.
Yep, 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 yep. Lizzie says, "Well, it's just the two of you. Normally, there's an entire team." Yeah, absolutely.
Totes.
Oh boy,
Anywho, that's all I got.
nice. Well,
I'm tired.
you earned only one day of rest, Michael, and then after that one day, you gotta just blow through
Back to the
all
grind.
back to the grind. Yeah, but yeah, this is cool. Thank you again, Michael, and we
Sure.
can't wait to see the rest of the scenes, three, but scene two as well as four and five.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
thank
I'm. Or yeah. Go
oh
ahead.
no, I was gonna say, and thank you, Captain Blue and Lissy and Cookie, for those of you guys watching and just being here with us. That really means a lot to us. That you guys are definitely part of this journey. I mean, even
Oh.
though you say it's just us two, but at the same time, it's you guys are here, being on this journey, so it means a lot to us. So thank you, Lissy. Thank you, Captain
Yeah.
Blue, Cookie. You guys are amazing, and
Um.
everyone else is watching.
one other thing that I can show you, and this is not going to take too long, but some of the other HUD elements that you sent me that I've imported that I just
Hmm.
haven't gotten a chance to make live in the game. But so I can change out our regular shield health to the red shield health.
Oh,
So that's what
nice.
that looks like. And then with the fill thing, we can kind of do this effect, pulse it to like
Yeah.
when the player's about ready to die, we could do that. There's also the damage indicators. Got all of these in here, so we can kind of like, toggle these on.
Oh, that looks good. It's a little bit
Yeah,
pixelated, but why is it pixelated? Is
it could be.
is it
Really?
not high
It doesn't
res
look
enough?
that pixelated on mine. Maybe the
Maybe
bitrate's
maybe
too
it's the
low.
stream.
It could be, because
Do, I
on
mean,
mine,
do you see
like
pixelation?
I mean, a little bit, but part of that could be because I'm at 4K resolution and these images are 1080p, which is fine. Like, this is what my monitor is, so that's what I've been working off of this
Oh,
whole
I
time.
see.
The
Uh-huh.
ratio is the same, and when
Uh-huh.
we uh, send the game out, we'll limit it to 1080p, so it
Uh-huh.
shouldn't be pixelated at all. Um,
Yeah,
that's just a
if you watch the stream later, you'll see what I see. The
pixelated, huh?
hexes, I can see the pixelation on the hexes.
Oh, I'm looking at the stream now. No, it doesn't look anything like that.
Oh,
It's
okay, good. Good, good, good.
quite,
Smooth.
yeah, yeah.
Nice.
When
Good,
when you
good, good.
get scene 3, you can just come into here. There's a little thing called core, and then inside there, there's something called HUD, and then you can go and you can turn that stuff
Ooh.
on and see it for
Okay,
yourself.
perfect. Awesome.
But yeah, so that's all the sort of like damage stuff. And by the way, I really like what you did with the damage things, where like each one of them, it like takes up its own kind of like part of the screen. So like if I turn
Yeah.
that one off and then
Yeah.
turn this one on, it's like a different part of the screen is where
Yeah,
that one
yeah,
gets
yeah.
filled in. So then if you end up turning all of them on, you fill up the whole screen. Um, that's great. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And because
Awesome.
then we can kind of like you were saying, toggle the different versions of them on and off, and you can
Mhm.
create this sort of like pulsing effect or something.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's that one. And
Perfect.
then the blue one's basically the same thing. So there they are. I'll turn all of them on. And ba-da-ba-da.
Boom. Nice.
Those are all in there. And
Sweet.
the dialogue. Okay, so the dialogue box. There we go. I made it bigger, like significantly bigger than I, because one of the things that I had to. Oh, and this was a real pain in the ass to add all these assets in.
Uh-huh.
Um, I used your like I just took a screenshot and then lowered the opacity of like the original one that you had to kind of like
Uh,
help myself align where all these things were,
uh-huh.
because adding things into this space is like in order to get things to like align where they were supposed to, basically the way you do it, or the only way that I know how to do it, is you get the like raw images in here, right?
Yeah.
And then I go to the canvas, and actually I've got to go into here. Let me make that visible. Go here. Actually, I want the other side that way.
Nice.
Um, so then I go into the canvas, go to UI, and be like, okay, I'm going to add a raw image in here. And so then it gives me this, little container that's got my image. Then I have to choose what image it is. Then I can go here and be like, okay, if I want, yeah, let me just put in this character. Like I want that character to be in there. So, and then I can set the native size, which, it helps a little bit, but it's because Unity's HUDs, they make them like gigantic.
Mm.
Um, that way it can like scale to different screen resolutions or whatever. You basically have to scale things relative to the Unity canvas, and then it will figure out what the actual resolutions are at the different scales. So what I then have to do is like figure out like, okay, well, where the hell should this thing be on screen, and
Oh,
how big
geez.
should it be?
Uh-huh.
And for some reason, I maybe there's a way to do it, but I couldn't figure out how to get it to like lock the aspect ratio. So I can change the width and the height, but only independently. So if I want to make this thing bigger,
Oh, that's so annoying.
yeah, I'm like, okay, I want 256 that way, and then I'm like, ah, shit. Well, I need to do the math. Like, how much should I increase this one by?
Yeah.
That I doubled its size, so that one should also be doubled. So there we go. Is that big enough? And then in order to get it in the right position, I was using your like template here. It's like, okay, I guess this needs to actually let me grab that thing, Hey, move that guy down there. It needs to be a little
Mhm.
bit bigger. Like
Mhm.
adjust this
Mhm.
thing here.
Oh
Put it
boy.
under.
Jeez.
Yeah. Uh, so that's how I had to build the entire HUD. So that also took like a day and a half
Yeah.
just to get the things in there, not even to put the functionality of like, okay, now I need to make the shield work and the dialogue. And that's one of the reasons why you also didn't see any dialogue in this scene is because
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
I just ran out of time and didn't have time
Yeah.
to update the new HUD with the old code.
Right.
So anyway, okay, for real. Now I'm done bitching about all the work I did this week.
No, no, no,
But
no.
I just
So,
wanted to show
it,
you I got your beautiful HUD assets into the game, even
yeah,
if we
no,
didn't get to
that's
see them
awesome.
tonight.
No worries, no worries. I'm not in a rush because yeah, the we have less than 30 days, but we still have a lot of other more important stuff to do, and I'm not too. It's like, oh, don't show me. I don't need to see it now. The gameplay is more important.
And it's coming along.
Yeah,
So there you go.
sweet, sweet, awesome, man.
Officially done.
Yeah,
No more to
good
see from me
job,
tonight.
good job, Michael. Yay. All right,
Thanks,
hold
dude.
on. There you go. All right,
And thanks
guys.
everybody in chat for being so encouraging and for being here to check out this little game that we're making.
Yeah, Lissy says it looks fairly good. Not very pixely. I'm used to the blurry pixel stuff though, but I'm hoping that it's the Discord horrible, connection that we have. It's making the, all the photos look pixelated and everything. But I'm very sure once I open it up on my end, it's gonna look nice and crisp and, sharp edge and sexy. Yeah, wait,
Yeah, I think it
yeah,
looks quite good. I
nice.
didn't open it and was like, ooh, I need to talk to Chris about how pixelated this is. Like it looks
Right.
fine to me.
Good, 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 good. Sweet. But yes, so good job, Michael, again for all the amazing work. I know you feel defeated, but again, this is just you are one person doing everything on the Unity side of things. So I myself give you encouragement saying that you did an awesome job, dude, and just keep at it. And this is only the pain will only last for less than 30 days. So just
That's
embrace the
true.
pain, embrace it, and then it's like childbearing, is what I was told. You have a whole bunch of pain, and then finally when the kid comes out, it's like yay. You don't worry so much about the pain. But then again, I will be working in Unity this whole week, so I will be in a lot of pain too. So I will share some of the burden, Michael.
For sure.
Yeah, yep, yep, yep. All right, guys, we are going to go ahead and call it. And if you guys are interested in following me and Michael, go ahead and go to our respective Linktree platforms, and just you can follow us there. But until then, you can find me on twitch.tv slash lead design studio. Currently, I have a Kickstarter going on. I've designed 7 individual designs based off of the 7 deadly sins. So if you're interested in that, feel free to follow the link, and then you could check it out there as well. Michael, where can they find you, good sir?
You can check me out at those links. I've got social media stuff, but I'm honestly not that active there. The best place to find me really is here on the Creative Tavern. But I do have a book available, Blockbuster Blueprint, available on Amazon if you're interested. Oh, and by the way, somebody had mentioned that in Australia they were having trouble getting a hold of
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
the.
yeah. It was Gandalf.
Okay, so
Yeah.
if you're watching Gandalf, I contacted Amazon about that and said like, hey, some of my Australian customers are trying to get hold of the book, and they're saying it's unavailable. They looked into it. It seems like it's fine. So hopefully
Okay.
that's resolved. You should be able to get both the Kindle version and the paperback version uh, in Australia. If that's still not working, let me know. But based on the rep that I worked with, and yeah, Amazon looked into it and double checked it because I told them like, yeah, are you sure it's working? Because I'm hearing that it's not. They double confirmed and said, yep, here it is. Here's a screenshot. Looks like it's available.
Perfect. Perfect.
So
Perfect.
you should be good to go.
Awesome.
But yeah,
I will relay that information to Gandalf. Yep.
fantastic. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, no
Um,
problem.
But yeah, so that's it. Otherwise, best place to find me is right here every Wednesday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, hanging out with you lovely folks and Chris, making this video game, at least for the next month.
Yeah. And thank you guys for being here. We will see you all back here 7 p.m. on Sunday, and then you'll see exactly what I do with Michael's amazing work. Oh God, this is going to be painful. But thank you again for being here, Lissy, Captain Blue Blue. How have you? Both of you guys have a wonderful night or day, and Captain Blue Blue, I know you are feeling sick, but definitely feel better, man. Get as much rest as you need to. Okay. Lissy says, "You lovely folks," and Chris, yeah,
I, I think the joke
I
there
know,
is,
I know,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
All
you
right.
lovely people. And Chris.
And Chris. I will remember that statement, Lissy. I will remember. Chris does not forget. All right, guys. Thank you so much, and we will see you Sunday. Take care. Don't go anywhere. We're gonna be raiding. All right. See ya. And tonight, oh, Carol. Hey, Carol's here.
Carol.
Tonight we will raid Malefic Top Cat. He's currently doing some artwork. Oh, oh shit, I did it wrong. I did an exclamation mark instead of a forward slash. Bye. Wait, what's going on? Raid. And then press. Huh, it's not working. What the
Weird.
heck? Yeah. Raid. Oh, you know why? It's because I'm currently talking as Lead Design Studio. So what I need to do is actually
Um,
go into. All right. Sorry guys. Give me one moment. Ah.